How's it going? Sorry I'm a little late today. Uh, got busy doing something right before, like between classes, because I had one that goes until 12:45. But yeah, here we go. All right. Um, so last night, all of our tests were due, and I think most everyone got those done. Um, Probably won't be until next Wednesday that I have those grades. Next Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm hoping to get done. Um, there's not as much for me to grade on this test, so I think that'll make it be a little bit faster. But I also want to go back and give y'all credit where you deserve it. So I might spend a little bit more time looking over it. I haven't really checked about yet, so I'm not sure where they're at. Um, as far as how much I need to look at them to be able to grade them. Anyway, um, but I'll try to get those done in a week. So I'll be working on that some tomorrow and Friday and then Monday, and we'll see how much I get done by then. So anyway, today I wanted to talk about our semester project. Let me actually switch over to Canvas. Oops, not that. Well, kind of. Here we go. So, if you go in the files section, I'm in the wrong class. Sorry. Wrong Canvas course. Um, there we go. Go to the files section. Yesterday, I created a folder called Project Files. And this kind of details the first part of our project. And what we'll do on this first part of the project, basically it goes along with what we've already done on the first test. It's really the same processes, the same types of problems, but now we're looking at a specific data set. Okay. A little bit different than what we did, well, similar to what we did in the test, but the data we have here is a little bit more fleshed out, I guess is a way of saying it. So the data, let me zoom in a little bit here. There we go. The data comes from a previous semester. This is actually from I think it's my fall 2019 semester, the last full semester we had in classroom. Um, and students were asked to choose a store to shop at virtually and select their favorite snack. And then we recorded nutritional data for each of the snacks that they chose, one each. So, and I had like 3 classes that semester, so I had something like 65 data values. I did cut it down to 50 just for a little bit more of a convenience on our part because of the working online versus being able to work in the classroom. I actually simplified this project quite a bit. I cut out like 25% of the questions and I reduced the data set to 50 data values. So, anyway, so in the files here, not my email, in the files where I found this, I also listed the data, and we'll look at that in a second. Actually, let's look at it now. I included it as a PDF, but I also included it as an Excel file if you would prefer to work with that. Now, page zoom. There we go. So as you can see, what I had the students do before is they listed the store that they wanted to buy the item from. Some of them chose online stores like Amazon. Others, this is stores they normally shop at, and they selected an item there that they would eat for a snack. So a lot of H-E-B, a lot of Walmart, Target, Amazon, and so on. And then we calculated the cost per serving of that snack. So if their snack was eating the whole container, that's fine, but we're just interested in one serving. So if it's like a bag of pretzels, for instance, and you get a big bag from the store and it has like 12 servings in it, then we took the cost and divided it by 12 or however many there were, and then with the nutritional info on the back is basically the nutritional info for one serving of that snack. And then I had them put a short description on the right. I don't know that we'll do anything with the descriptions. That's just there for reference purposes, I guess. If there's enough similarity in what people choose, there are some things we can do there as far as statistics, but most of the time they're too different for us to be able to do a whole lot with them. But the idea was that we have the store as a categorical variable, and then the cost, calories, protein, carbs, fat, and sodium, these are our quantitative variables. Okay, so I at least wanted one categorical variable so we can have something to do with that. The description is also categorical, but there's so many different answers, there's really not a whole lot we can do there. This is what our data looks like, and as you can see, there's 50 total sets of data for each category. And at the bottom, I went ahead and added the originally I just had the minimum and the maximum and the mean, but my other class convinced me to go ahead and include the standard deviation and then the 5-number summary as well. So that will actually save you all some effort, which would be nice. So I got the standard deviation, the minimum, Q1, the median, the Q3. This is Q3, I'm sorry about that. Not Q2. And then the maximum. And then the values for the cost, calories, protein, carbs, fat, and sodium. That corresponds with each of those. So I'm a little zoomed in for y'all to see that probably. Anyway. So that means for cost, the minimum was 10 cents, Q1 was 27 cents, median was 50 cents, Q3 was 99 cents, and the maximum was $2.60 for a serving of a snack. Protein, for instance, minimum was 0 grams, Q1 was 1 gram, the median was 2 grams, Q3 was 4 grams, and the maximum was 21 grams, which is quite high. And we repeated that for each of the... That was easy to do in Excel, I just copy and paste it over. So, anyway. Close that, go back to the actual project instructions. So this first part here just describes the data. That was a collection process, just so you have some context there. This is from previous students. Normally, in a normal semester where we're in the classroom doing this, I would have each of you repeat this, and then we'll get some new data, and then we'll work in groups to do all the problems. Unfortunately, we can't really do that this semester. We could have done the first part, but I'm just trying to simplify it for everyone. And at the same time, anyway, it's really just a matter of simplifying it. And like I said, I did reduce the number of questions I asked you on this project, so that should hopefully make it a little bit easier. So during this first part of the project, we're going to make a variety of graphs and charts to represent some of the data that we collected, and then use them to analyze the data set. And again, this mirrors what we did on the exam already. So we're going to start by making the following distribution tables, frequency distribution tables. Sorry, just want that open so I can access it. But I need to see your chat. All right. So 3 tables to make. First of all, a frequency distribution for the stores where items were selected. And then we just need columns for category and frequency. 2, using the column on carbohydrate grams from the data set, make a stem and leaf plot. Okay. And 3, using the cost data, make a group frequency distribution using 6 classes and a class width of 50 cents. Use columns for class, frequency, and relative frequency, and start the first class at $0. Once we make these first 3 tables, whether it's the frequency distribution or the stem and leaf plot, then we'll go to part B. Now, number 1 here in part A corresponds to number 1 in part B. So for the stores, for the frequency distribution we used here in number A, or A1, and then in B1 we want to make a Pareto chart for that data. And then in C1, C is basically the analysis questions that we need to ask. So in C1, what is the most frequently selected store and what measure of central tendency supports this? Basically, well, we probably can answer that one right now, but don't. Anyway. So A2, we're going to create a stem and leaf plot for the carbohydrate grams. B2, we will, using the carbohydrate grams, I asked you to find the 5-number summary, but I went ahead and did that with Excel, so that way y'all don't have to worry about it. You will need to find the fences and test for outliers like we did in the exam, and then create a box plot. And then, is the data for the carbohydrate grams compact or spread out? And we can use our the range rule to determine that answer. So we'll have to calculate the range and divide it by 4, and then I gave you the standard deviation on the table. Finally, A3, we create a group frequency distribution for the cost data. Then for that, I want you to make a histogram for the cost data using the relative frequency. And finally, what is the shape of the distribution for the cost data? Now you can do that by looking at the histogram or by comparing the median and the mean, which is already given on the data table. So there's a couple of different ways we can do that. But that's the project right there. It's just part A, B, and C, each with 3 parts. Let me switch back to paper. Sorry. So in part A, in 1 specifically, it says we want to create a frequency distribution for the stores where the items were selected. Use the columns for category and frequency on our table. So what we're going to do there, we're going to put store in one column and then frequency in the other. So it's just 2 columns that we need for A1. And under the stores, they can be in any order right here. So we'll have HEB, we'll have Walmart, Amazon, etc. You know, however many we have. I think we have quite a few different stores. A lot of them are just used once or twice. But we'll list all of them out here. And you can do this on your own paper. Just write it out by hand. And then go through and count up the frequency for each one. HEB, Walmart, Amazon, etc. Count how many times each one occurs on our data sheet. And just fill out the second column here. And that's what we would have to do for A1. Okay? Now for number 2 on part A, where we have the we want a stem and leaf plot for the carbohydrate grams that are eaten. If we go back to the table, or sorry, the data. Make sure I pick the PDF. For the stem and leaf plot, we have to know what the minimum and maximum values are. Now for carbs, it's this column right here. And I listed the minimum and maximum as 2 and 50. The minimum of 2 and 50 was the highest value that we had. So we'll make a stem and leaf chart. Now if we have a value of 2, what would be the stem for that? If we just have a single digit number and all the rest of the values are double digits, what would the stem be for a single digit number? 0. Good. So our first stem would be 0 for that 2 value. And I think there's some others with single digit numbers, so they'll all be right here. And we'll have the 10s, and then we'll have the 20s, and the 30s, and the 40s. And we know our highest value is 50, so it'll be a 0 there. It may be more than 1, but I think it's only just 1. Okay. And so we'd fill out the rest of these here. And again, remember they're separated by commas, and they have to be in numerical order from low to high. Okay. However many they are. Probably it's going to be more on top than on bottom, because I think most of the snacks didn't have 50 grams of carbs. Is a lot for a snack. Anyway. So, and so that's what we'll do for number 2. And then A3, we wanted a group frequency distribution for the cost data. Okay. Now, normally, when we make a group frequency distribution, we start at the lowest data value, but this time in the instructions, let's switch back to this one in particular. If we look at the instructions here, we want to make a group frequency distribution using 6 classes and a class width of 50 cents. Use columns for class frequency and relative frequency and start the first class at 0, 0, 0. So the fact that I told you in this case we actually just want to start from 0, that actually makes it a lot easier for us. Okay? Sorry. And so we know this one will start at 0. And if our class width is 50 cents, that means we add 50 cents here, so the second class starts at 50 cents. What does the first one end at? $0.49. Good. And then we'll just add 50 cents all the way down, both columns. So 50 to 99 cents. This will be $1 to $1.49. 150 to $1.99. $2 to $2.49. And then finally $2.50 to $2.99. And it said 6 classes, and that's 6 classes right there. So this is what you'll actually use when you go to make this table. Okay? And then we'll go through and count up how many are between each of these values and fill in the frequency. And then once we do that, we know there should be 50 total. and then we can use that to calculate the relative frequency. And the fact that we have a total frequency of 50 means that the relative frequency should come out very nice. Basically, nice short decimal numbers. So to do this project, you could write it out on paper like I'm showing you right now. Probably this first part A is what's going to take the longest. It's just to organize the data and count up how many are between these two numbers and that sort of thing. That's probably going to take the longest here. Part B, you make the 3 graphs, one for each piece of data. In part C, we answer an analysis question, one for each piece of data. Okay. And so that's the format. If you prefer, you could do it in Excel if you are comfortable. You don't have to do it on a computer by any means, but so you can write it out like I'm doing here, or you can do it on a computer. It's just a matter of which one you're more comfortable doing. Because I've had students in the past that work with Excel as part of their regular jobs, and they were very happy to do it on the computer. But it's not a requirement by any means. So, if you do it by hand, you will have to take photos or scans of your work and then send them to me by email, rather than just sending me the file if you do it on a computer. So there are pros and cons. But, basically, I want you to do whatever you're most comfortable doing. Okay. Any questions? Good question. I forgot to mention that. It is due in 2 weeks, so that'll make it October 14th, I believe. And just anytime by then, email me your work. Okay. Are there other questions? So I just want you to use the data that I provided in the files, so you don't have to get data yourself. I had a student for my Tuesday-Thursday class that was a little bit confused with that. Yeah, it'll just be email it to me, and then I'll enter your grades manually, rather than have like a separate quiz to fill out or anything like that. Yeah, just email me your entire document, basically. Yeah. Okay. So, I know this is going to take some time, so I thought for today, I would just give you the rest of the class time to work on this, and I encourage you to work on it over the weekend, since we don't have any other homework we're working on at the moment. I think this would be a good thing to go ahead and do while we have an opportunity. And you don't have to do it all at once. You can just do bits and pieces at a time. Like you can do A1 now, and then maybe another day do A2, then maybe another day do A3, and then you do the other 2 parts from there once you get those. So, however you want to divide it up. You do have 2 weeks, but at the same time, try not to save it all for that last 2 days. That's my recommendation. Not that it won't stop some of you from waiting until the last 2 days, and I understand that. It's just a mentality, and I had that problem with English papers when I was in college. So, but I do encourage you to get it done ahead of time, especially with this opportunity I'm giving you now, just to have a little extra time to work on it. So, anyway, so with that, I think, unless you have any other questions, that's all we're going to do today. So, like I said, I encourage you to go ahead and work on that. And again, you find that in the Files section in Canvas. I showed you where it was before. Hopefully everything's readable, and you can understand it all. So, all right, so we'll leave it at that, and y'all have a good weekend, and a good rest of the day. And I will talk to you again on Monday. Monday we'll go ahead and start chapter 4, which will probably just take one day, and then we'll go into chapter 5 next Wednesday. We won't test on chapter 4. Our next test is on chapter 5 and 6, and we're 3 or 4 weeks away from that, so we have some time. Anyway, y'all take care, and I'll talk to you then later. Bye. Oh, Daviana, did you still have a question? If you go into Canvas, you go to Files in Canvas, and we select the project files folder, and they're all right here. If you want for the data, you have it in PDF form, or you have the Excel file, XLS. If you actually want to use Microsoft Excel or similar software, and then this is the instructions for the first project right here. Okay. All right. Well, y'all take care. I'll see y'all later.